Good morning, guys. My name is Frestiani Rahadian Sitoresmi. My student number is 170, and today I will present to you my report on my experiment about the sensation and perception, especially in the auditory senses, which is titled "Effects of Voice Pitch on the Perception Regarding Personality Traits." So just a quick reminder that I will keep it short here, and I provide everything else, any other information in my written report. So if you're interested in reading the report, you can just hit up my WhatsApp and then I will send to you my written report. Okay, so next. So what are we going to learn in this presentation? So the first, I separated into um, three section. So the first section will be the objectives, which includes the goal of this experiment, and then the second one will be the methods, which includes the participants, the tools, and the procedure, and then the last one will be the discussion, which I will explain to you about the results of the experiment and also the evaluation that I make after doing the experiment. Okay, so next, the objectives. So earlier when I was thinking about what kind of experiment should I conduct, I became curious because sometimes I do associate, for example, like the height or the depth of someone's voice with certain characteristic or personality traits. For example, if I hear someone with a low voice, they look cooler or they look smart, etc. So I want to find out if other people from my family also have the same thought. So, but with that in mind, I set a main objective of discovering whether or not a registration of auditory stimuli, in this case with differing voice pitch, so it's a low voice pitch and a low pitch voice and a high pitch voice, that is perceived by test subjects will be associated with personality traits. So that will be in the first goal, and then the second goal will be whether the association will happen in immediate action or not when the participant is given a task to do so. So the question that needs to be answered here, and the questions that we aimed for the first goal is what kind of answer does the test subjects will give to the prepared question, and the aimed answer for the second goal will be what kind of reaction does the test subjects make when asked about the prepared question. Okay, so moving on to the theories. Here I explain what we need to know before moving forward into the next steps. So I will not explain much about sensation, perception, and then auditory senses, but I provided in my written paper. So if you're interested, you can check it out. But here I will discuss a little bit about the perception of voice pitch, which is the theme of this experiment, specifically in its association with personality traits. So actually, several studies had proved that voice pitch does influence how we judge a person's personality. So I have two studies here. The first one is a study by Kolfstad that found that people tend to choose low-pitched person as a leader because they associate low-pitched voice with leadership capacity. And then another study, however, found that while women tend to choose low-pitched men as their leaders, they prefer high-pitched men as their mating partner. So it's about the trustworthiness. So they trust a low-pitched person to be their leader, but they trust a high-pitched man as their mating partner more. So this study shows that even people's behavior, like in election, in choosing leaders, in choosing mating partner is influenced by voice pitch as a result of our perception of the sound. So with this in mind, we're going to conduct a simple and a bit wider in conclusion experiment to see if we can have the same result as the study stated above, which is that voice pitch is associated with several personality traits. Okay, so on to the next part, which is the method. Here I will first explain about the participants and the tools. So I have three subjects here, which is one is a 49-year-old woman, and then second one will be a 57-year-old man, and then the last one will be a 13-year-old boy. And then the tools I use here are two audio recordings of a talking person. So the first person is talking in a deep voice using English, while the second person talks in a more light voice using Korean. So the reason why I choose different language here is because the test subjects are fluent in Bahasa Indonesia, but they are not fluent in the chosen language here. So I want to make sure to use a language outside of Bahasa so that the participant will not be influenced by the content of the talk. So they're only going to be influenced by the voice pitch of the person that is talking. Okay, so now I will give a snippet of the audio. Keep in mind that the participants also only hear a snippet of the audio, so it's not the full audio. So here is the first person. The first audio.
I loved Maleficent when I was a little girl. She was my favorite character, my favorite Disney character. I was afraid of her and I loved her. So when I had heard
And then here is the second audio.
하면 민족 대명절 추석도 빠뜨릴 수 없는데 올해 추석 선물은 소중한 사람들의 건강까지 생각하는 좀
Okay, so that was the snippet of the audio that the participant will listen. So it was actually a YouTube video, and I provide the link in my written report if you're interested in watching it further. Okay, so next we're going to talk about the procedure. So it's separated between three parts, which is a short briefing, an audio presentation, and then the judgment by the participants. So for the short briefing, I explain to the participant that during the experiment, they can ask me further questions about the person in the audio before making a judgment. So the reason what I'm doing is because there is one theory in stereotype which says that we tend to be lazy about judging someone's character if the information is not readily available. So I want to prove that point that theory by allowing my participants to ask further question if they want to, but they can also judge immediately if they feel too lazy about it. Also, I was explaining it because test subjects tend to have subject compliance to the experimenter, so they tend to just follow suit of anything that the experimenter say without straying much from the experiment. So yeah, I just want to give them a freedom, let them know that they are free to do anything they want in order to make a judgment and not just doing whatever I told them to do. And then the second part is audio presentation, where the participant will listen to the audios back to back. So the reason why I choose a back-to-back presentation and not an audio presentation and then immediate judgment and then another audio and then immediate judgment is because I want to see if the participant will make a comparison between the two persons in the audio, which will imply that they are indeed using stereotypes because they compare the low pitch person with the higher pitch person. And then the next part will be in the judgment, where the participant will explain to me the result of their judgment about the person in the two audios, and then I will make a conclusion based off of their answer to answer the first to reach the first goal, and then I will also review their reaction, which will answer the second goal. Okay, so on to the next part is the discussion. So here I will only explain the results, well, the evaluation that I make about the experiment and my suggestion for future studies, you can check it out in my written paper. So in this experiment, apparently we found two methods the participants used in order to make a judgment about the two persons' character. So in the case of the first participant, she used two methods, and one of them isn't actually something we considered before. So she either make immediate judgment or she consider other aspects that we did not consider before, which is the speed of the speech. So on the first audio recording, she noticed that the person is talking in a relatively fast manner, in which she infer from that aspect that the person is good at thinking of what she's going to talk. Hence, she judged that the person is intelligent. So what it means is that she didn't just judge based off of the voice pitch alone, but she also considered other aspects such as the speed of the talking. However, it is not applied in her every judgment, so she did judge some personality traits that are not that are solely based off of the voice pitch. For example, by judging the first person as a hard worker and the second person as a happy person, and she based that solely off of the voice pitch of the person talking. And then the second and the third person did follow the expected method, which is to immediately judge without gathering more information. So the second participant judged the first person to be a perfectionist and the second person to have a laid-back personality. And he did especially sound very sure of his judgments in linking the sound of the voice to personality traits. Whereas the third participant judged the first person to be an assertive person and that the second person is someone that is easy to talk to. And interestingly, when asked about the reason why he judged the first person to be assertive, he actually even mentioned that he associated deep voice to someone who is assertive. So here, what do we get from this result? So for the first participant, even though she did consider other aspect other than voice pitch, which is the speed of the person that is talking, she did only consider a readily available person and did not ask for further question. And on the same thing also happened to the other participant, even though they only judge based off of the voice pitch alone and not the speed of the talk. So this proves the second point, the second goal, which is that we tend to lean on stereotypes and tend to be too lazy to ask or gather for further question. And then from the answers given by the participant, we can infer that all participants prove that auditory stimuli in the form of voice pitch do affect our judgment on personality traits. So if we infer from the answers that the participant gave about the person talking with a lower pitch, we could actually see similarities with previous studies we discussed earlier regarding the perception of leadership capacity. So our participants tend to associate low pitch voice with assertiveness, intelligence, and perfectionist, which are personalities that are often associated with leaders. So in conclusion, auditory stimuli do affect our judgment of personality traits, especially in the form of voice pitch. And then humans, us, tend to use stereotypes and we are a bit too lazy to gather more information outside of the readily available information. So that's all from me in this presentation. Again, if you are interested in reading further, you can hit my WhatsApp and I will send you my written paper. And also, you're free to ask me any question if there's something that you don't understand, or you also can give me some critics regarding this experiment because there are a lot of flaws that I personally found in this experiment. So if you found anything else, you can just give me some critics. I will be very grateful of that. Thank you. Have a nice day.